Hi everyone, this video is going to be for the new Natasha Denona makeup items. There are two of them, some blush palettes and then some Duochrome toppers. And I apologize if my voice sounds a little nasally, I am getting over a cold. In any case, these items are available through Sephora, and I will put a link in the description box below to where you can find them if you're interested in purchasing them. As always, if you want to see a full review of how these perform after I have fully tested them, please see the description box below to the links that I will put to the full reviews at the website. I do those after actually testing them on the face, wearing them around for a day or two. This will be more of a first impressions. I will also do a more full review in the next What's New in Beauty video, which I do every single month. So if you prefer to just listen to a review, then you can listen to that video or watch that video in early February. Those reviews are particularly important with things like face products, like blushes, highlighters, and bronzers, because they tend to perform a little bit differently on the face when actually applied to the face than in swatches. So while you'll get a very nice accurate view of the colors for all these products when swatched, in terms of how the formulation performs, a lot of the times, not all the time, but a lot of the time, the formula will perform differently applied to the cheeks as opposed to applied in the swatch video. I hope that you are subscribed to the channel, and let's get looking at the new Natasha Denona blush palettes and Duochrome eye toppers. So let's start by swatching the two new diamond and blush palettes. These retail for $89 each. The packaging on this is beautiful. It's heavy and feels very luxurious. You can see that it is this light kind of baby pink shade. Palette closes magnetically, has a full-sized mirror inside, and has 6 shades in it. The top shades are more of a cream formula. And of course, what is wonderful about this is that there is that protective layer there that you can flip up to use the product, but then flip back down to make sure that the powder products don't contaminate into the cream products. So the top row has cream products and the lower row has powder products. So palette 01 is called Daria, and the pans aren't quite named, but instead they are labeled with sort of their function. So I will swatch these left to right, starting with the top row. So the left upper corner shade is Glow Cream Base. Then you move on to the Cream Blush, and then you have the Duo Glow. Then on the bottom row, you have the Diamond Powder, the Powder Blush, and the Glow Extreme. The 02 palette is the Citrus palette. So again, we start on the left with the Glow Cream Base, followed by the Cream Blush and the Duo Glow. Then you have the Diamond Powder, Powder Blush, and the Extreme Glow. So the directions say to apply these with a damp or dry brush, but for the first two cream products, it's only the first two that are creams, I'm going to use my fingers, and then for the rest I will use a brush. So first up is the Glow Cream Base. Adding a little more product, but this is supposed to be on the more natural side. It is a subtly shimmering champagne, pale champagne. And that's followed by the Cream Blush. And this is a medium bright pink, and this does not appear to have any sort of shimmer in it. Very pigmented. I'm not going to have to add any more color to this swatch or product. Then the Duo Glow is a very sparkling, in the pan it's like a magenta-ish pink. On the skin the pink is very subtle. It's more prominent when it comes to the gold shimmer. Gonna add a little more product to this swatch. Then from the bottom row, we have the Diamond Powder. And this isn't adhering very well to the skin. Now I am applying these over a base, so it's not just my bare skin, to try to more closely mimic how you would apply it on your face after moisturizer or foundation. So maybe here is where Natasha Denona's suggestion to use a wet brush comes in. So I have dampened this brush There we go. That makes it apply, or adhere, I should say, to the skin. In the pan, this looks more like a nudie champagne. On the skin, looks mostly like a shimmering silver, soft silver. All right, next up is the powder blush. I'm using the same style of brush. This is the angled powder brush from e.l.f., but it's a different actual brush. I'm going to keep that other one for applying products wet. This one's going to be for the dry ones. Okay, building that up. This is a pinky coral with a sheen. I suspect the pigmentation on this will increase when actually applied to the face. And the last up is the Glow Extreme. And this is a really metallic, comes off mostly silver on the skin. Adding a second layer to that. Alright, so here are what the products look like up close. I like the cream products. Then we start with the powder products. I don't know how comfortable I would feel applying a highlighter with a damp brush. That seems to be inviting disaster to me, though the swatch doesn't look too bad. Looks fairly even. That blush, like I said, I suspect will be a little more pigmented when applied to the face. And there you have a really metallic highlight on the end there. Sorry for the scratches and the boo-boos, but there is the first palette swatched with a brush initially. Alright, so as I usually do, I'm going to go in with heavy swatches of the same palette. So here's the Glow Cream Base, followed by the Cream Blush, followed by the Duo Glow. Oh, so beautiful. So that's the top row, and that's followed by the Diamond Powder. This is the one that I applied with a wet brush. Then the Powder Blush. And last up, the Glow Extreme. So here are those swatches up close. I'm actually a little surprised because I feel like with the finger swatches even, the bottom row kind of stayed true to the first impressions I had, even applied with a brush, which indicates to me that maybe these swatches on the face or application on the face will be closer to the brush swatches on the arm than I initially thought, because this formula definitely is not a formula that wants to transfer. And I'll actually show you the pan in just a second, because as I tried to pick up the product with my finger, the pan sort of sealed. So I'll show you what that looks like. The blush also obviously is more pigmented in a finger swatch, but was less pigmented than I thought it was initially going to be. So maybe those brush swatches were more accurate than I thought they would be. This color, oh man, that is a beautiful shade. I would use that as an eyeshadow. Obviously as a really extreme highlight if I wanted to have something more dramatic, but also maybe a powder topper for a lip shade if I were in the mood for that too. So here is the pan on that diamond powder. It has definitely started to seal, which means that you will likely, if you're going to use a damp brush, I would pick it up with the brush that's dry first and then spritz on the bristles, which is how I would do it anyway, but try to avoid introducing any sort of moisture or oils to the pan, otherwise you're going to get this kind of sealing effect, and then you would have to scrape off the surface layer to get back down to the powder. Alright, now for the Citrus palette, we start with the Glow Cream Base and the Cream Blush. Again, just one layer for the blush, but a couple layers for the cream base, Glow Cream Base. Next up we have the Duo Glow. This is such a funky and fun color. It's a bright yellow with a green flash. Not sure how practical it would be, but it actually applies so much more natural. I don't know if natural is the word, but it's much less extreme applied on the skin than what it looks like in the pan. And then with the second row, there's that diamond powder. This is that same one from the first palette where the shimmers didn't really adhere. It looks like that's what's happening again. They're just going everywhere. So there's the evidence of it applied dry. I'm gonna pick up the product again, then spritz the brush. Why can't I speak today? The brush, and swatch it again for you. All right, so with a damp brush. And there you go. You have another champagne-y silver, although this one has a little bit more of like a peachy or pinky tone to the shimmer. The powder blush, ooh, this one's really not transferring. Let's see if we can build it up here. Here's layer 2. This is another soft pinky coral, although this one is a little less pink than the one in the first palette. It's got a little more coral and it has more of a golden sheen to it, a la the infamous Orgasm by MAC. And last we have the Glow Extreme. And I will tell you right now that even without a damp brush, as I went in for a second layer for this pan, it again looked like it was starting to seal. So it's a bit concerning. This comes off as a metallic tan shade, the silvery sheen. So again, let me show you, that's the last shade that I swatched, and I did not use any moisture on that brush. I haven't touched it with any of my fingers, so there's no oil that's been introduced, and I double checked to make sure they didn't accidentally switch the brushes with the one that I dampened before. So I used a dry brush on this pan, no additional moisture, and look at how it is sealing already. So that's not a great sign. And actually, if I look closely, this blush palette also seems like it may be starting to seal. So I will give you an update definitely after I use the palette more in the next What's New in Beauty video. Or in the written review, which should be up by this point already. So that will be a much quicker way to see what my thoughts are. But for now, here are the brush swatches, at least for the powder products. Alright, so for finger swatches, there's the Glow Cream Base, the Cream Blush, and the Duo Glow. Oh, again, so beautiful. And then the Diamond Powder, Powder Blush, applying a second layer on that, and the Glow Extreme. Okay, so there are the heavy swatches. So up close, of course, you have the first two cream products, then again that Duochrome shade that could be used as an eyeshadow as much as it could be used on the cheeks. And then you have that really glittery, almost dewy looking shade. The blush really, even with a finger swatch, did not transfer well, so it's not a good sign. Once more. Then the last shade, it actually, I could pick it up with my finger more easily than I thought it would, given the what seems to be the sealing effect that that's having. So there are the shades from the second palette. Alright, next up are her 3 new Duochrome top coats. These retail for $28 each. And the description for these is that it has a new multi-use formula with a sheer coverage, so I'm expecting that the pigmentation is not going to be opaque. It says these are based on her Duochrome eyeshadows, and they are intended to be applied on bare lids, on top of eyeshadow, or on top of lipstick for a dazzling duochrome effect. They're supposed to be long-lasting, crease-proof, waterproof, and easily buildable so that you can keep it sheer or go to semi-sheer coverage. So here we have the burnt terracotta and green shade. Second is a lavender and it says gold and silver shade. And third we have a brown mauve and purple shade. Okay, so first I'm going to swatch them on bare skin, but over primer. Then on top of a red lipstick, and it does say to apply these with the fingers. So I'm starting with that burnt terracotta and green shade, followed by the lavender and gold and silver shade, and then the brown mauve and purple shade. It's a little difficult, the pots are a little small to comfortably get my fingers into. And then going back with the burnt terracotta and green over this lipstick. Ooh, do not like how that's performing. So this is a matte shade, but it has a creamier formula. You may have to do this over some sort of like liquid lipstick so that it has no creaminess at the base. Okay, so I'm gonna actually go ahead and tap this. That is much better. Instead of spreading it, just tap it. Alright, then the lavender, gold, and silver. Ugh, this just isn't working very well. I think what actually helps is on the second time around that my finger is damp, and then using that patting motion. So with the brown, mauve, and purple, I just went ahead and dampened my finger before going in. Not sure that this is really worth it, but don't know till you try it out. Okay, so there's what the Duochrome toppers look like on their own, without any sort of color underneath. Then over that strawberry red lipstick. Alright, now the one that we're probably all really interested in is how these apply over eyeshadow. So on the left here I have a kind of gray-brown powder eyeshadow that I've applied over primer. Then I have a white base cream and I have a black base cream, and I'm going to dab the top coats over each of them so that you can see how different of an effect they have over different bases. So let's start with the burnt terracotta and green topper. And then the lavender and gold and silver one. I've noticed that the first shade is the easiest to apply. It doesn't require as much like pressing as the other ones do, and therefore it leaves the base color intact a lot more. And then the brown, mauve, and purple. Now this should be comparatively easier to apply onto the lids just because the lids, it's such a smaller space than the space over which I'm swatching. Alright, same order for the shades over this white base. Ooh, this color does not look pretty over a white base. Base is also kind of patchy, so won't hold that part against these toppers. Gonna go over with a little more product for each shade. That lavender one really doesn't show up very well on this white base. And woohoo, the money is over the black bases, which we kind of knew would probably be the case. Oh yeah, there you go. And since we did it with the other ones, I'm gonna add a little more product to each. Okay, so first applied over a powder shadow, womp womp, looks pretty sad. Then over a white cream base, you can't even see that middle shade there. Not the most flattering of colors. I don't know, I guess it depends on what look you're going for. And then the most magical is over these black cream bases there. Alright, there you have the new products, the newest products for the moment from Natasha Denona. Let's start with the Diamond and Blush palettes. Do I think they're worth $89? Absolutely not. Although there are a couple of stunning, more standout shades in each palette, they do not, they're not enough to warrant you spending close to $100 for 6 shades. There are far superior and more consistent quality blush palettes out there for much, much less money. I also, of course, do not like that the pans in both of the palettes seem to be sealing. That's an indication that it's going to be very frustrating to work with and to use in the long term. As for the Chroma top coats, the Chroma crystal top coats, they're lovely over the black eyeshadow base and used alone if you want a more subtle effect. The biggest criticism that I have of them is the shape of the, or in size of the pots that they are in. It's pretty difficult to get your finger into the pot and get product out. I found myself scraping, and you probably saw in the video as I was swatching it, kind of gets under your fingernails because you're trying to fit your finger in the pot to get the product out. But at least for me, my fingers, unless you have like really dainty fingers, you might find it a little frustrating to use this product. I think it would have been much better if they used a wider pot that was more shallow to put the product in. And the other thing is that for $28, there are definitely cheaper top coats out there. None of these shades is that unique over the black base that you need to go jump to your feet and grab the ones from Natasha Denona. So those are my first impressions and thoughts so far. Let me know in the comment section below what you think of any of these products or the colors, if you had any of them that you really loved as you were seeing them being swatched, and any other thoughts that you have. As always, thank you for taking the time to watch this video. I hope that it was helpful to you, and if it was, that you give it a thumbs up, and I will see you in the next video.